Well, hello everyone, and a very happy new year to you. Okay, I know it's not a happy new year for some of you. I guess it's really not a happy new year for any of us because we're grieving, and the person that we want to spend New Year's with is not here. And that's hard. Stepping into a new year is hard, especially when the person that you want to go with you is not here. Oh boy, it's hard, guys. I know. I didn't like going into another year without my husband, that's for sure. It just doesn't feel right, you know? But we really don't have much of a choice. We have to keep going. We have to keep pressing forward, even though we don't like it. We have to continue on. And January is actually almost over, but this is the soonest that I could make a video because I've just been so incredibly sick. I have been struggling hard with my health. And I feel pretty bad today too, but I am forcing myself to make a video because I didn't want the end of the month to come and I not make a video. So bear with me. I feel really terrible today, but I wanted to talk to you guys. I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you because January is almost over and I want to make a New Year video. So Happy New Year, even though it's not as happy as it should be or used to be, but nevertheless, it is a new year. And the good thing about it is that we're getting closer. We're getting closer to seeing our loved ones again. So that is one good thing. I wanted to show you my husband and we really loved this spot here. This is my day bed that he put together for me. I don't even remember when. It's been a few years now. But I remember when he put it together. He had all the parts laid out on the floor in here, and he was so excited to put it together for us. It's our movie spot and our spot where we just sat and talked. We watched some great messages together. Sometimes we would read the Bible or pray right in this spot. So it's a hard spot for me to be in, but it also has memories. We watched Avengers Endgame here, and we watched all of the Marvel movies here. He was really excited to see those. I'm glad we got to finish that journey here. I think the last one we watched together was Spider-Man No Way Home. Oddly enough, it was almost like that movie was foreshadowing our life. Because well, if you've ever seen Spider-Man No Way Home, you'll know what I mean. I've always felt a lot like Spider-Man because he has a lot of loss in his life. The character of Peter Parker, it's kind of a dark story. I love the ones with Tobey Maguire, with Andrew Garfield, with Tom Holland. They're all amazing Spider-Man stars in their own way. And I loved what each one brought to their character. And I think Andrew Garfield, his story probably would be the closest to mine, since he lost the love of his life just when he found her. But also Tom Holland had the same experience in a way, even though she didn't die. Just plug your ears right now if you don't want spoilers. The movie's been out a while, so I hope you've seen it. But at the end of No Way Home, he pretty much lost everything. But he got to make a decision. It was either save everyone and lose everything he had, or not save everyone, and I guess, they all would have died anyway, so he didn't really have much of a choice, but it was a sacrifice that he had to give up the people he loved and what he wanted out of life. He had to put other people first and make that sacrifice. And at the end, he was all alone again. But he was happy in a way that the people he loved were doing well. I kind of feel like that's my story. I feel like I've been forced to sacrifice everything that I wanted, everything that I dreamed of, the one I loved the most. He's in heaven now and he's doing well. Better than I am. But here I am alone again. And maybe you're alone again, and you never thought you would be. And I know people say, oh, you're not alone. And I even say that sometimes too. You're not really alone, because God is here with you, and there are people all over the world like me going through the same kind of grief that you are. But that's a different way of not being alone. It's true that we're not alone in that regard, but in reality, physically, you may be completely alone. I am. There's nobody here. I mean, if I passed out on the floor right now and I was unconscious, there's no one here to call 911 or to help me. So that's very alone. And some of you may be very alone like that too. And you know, people say things like, oh, they're with you in spirit, always. Yeah, well, that doesn't really help me, because if I'm like bleeding to death on the floor, his spirit is not gonna help me. So I don't really like that saying at all. I mean, some people it may comfort them, but for me, yeah, you can throw that one out the door, because that doesn't help me. He's not physically here. His spirit does not warm me up when I'm cold. It doesn't cheer me up when I'm sad. It doesn't pick me up off the floor when I fall on the floor. So yeah, I don't really care about his spirit being here with me. No offense, babe, if you're sitting right beside me. No offense, baby. But your spirit's not really doing me a whole lot of good if I fall on the floor. So yeah, he knows. So I have filled my hour space with all these little friends that you can see here to try to kind of make it a little more cheerful. Because, you know, without him here, it's kind of sad. It's really sad. Okay, it just flat out sucks. So I filled it with all of our little stuffed animal friends to make it a little bit more cheerful and a little bit more colorful. And just to bring some character to it. I also have, I think I showed you my pillow. He's still here in pillow form. So he's still here with me in pillow form. And he will always be here on this bed because this was our day bed. So, favorite pillow here. And there's two things I wanted to share with you today. One of them is a really beautiful writing that a lady did in my widow online group. I'll share that with you at the end, but right now I wanted to share with you have you ever seen a card like this? I just lost my train of thought. My poor brain. You may have seen a card like this before. It's got a pretty picture on the front, but on the inside, it's blank. It's just blank inside. And you know, for the longest time, that's how I feel. Completely blank inside. I might have a pretty picture on the front where I'm smiling and laughing and looking decent, but on the inside, it's totally blank. Maybe you feel like that too. I think a lot of us do when we're going through this grief. Sometimes I just feel completely blank inside, like there's nothing. It's just so empty. So if you're going through that, just know that is normal. That's very normal. Sometimes you just feel like there's nothing there. It just feels like this huge hole is inside of you. And it's hard to step into a new year all alone. Or another new year all alone. For me, this is my second year. This summer it will be 2 years. So I'm on my second year, which is why I'm calling this season 2, basically. It's my number 2-year season. And I never thought I'd be alone again. Maybe some of you never thought you'd be alone again either. You know, my husband and I, we were sitting in this very spot about 1.5 years ago. Oddly enough, we were having a conversation about how glad and how happy we were that we never had to be alone again. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was saying, I am so glad that I never have to go through being alone again or having to date again. Can you imagine trying to find a new person now at our age? And he was sitting right here beside me and he was like, whew, no. I cannot imagine ever having to go through that again. And we were just so thankful that we had each other and that we never had to face that again. Boy, that's like a slap in the face. Less than 2 years later, here I am. Alone again. It's like it's a cruel joke. And I know some of you feel like that too. You never dreamed you'd be here again. There are just no words. Sorry about the beeping in the background. I forgot to unplug my drive from my computer and it's being annoying. I'll make sure I turn that off next time. So let me wrap this up for today, and I just want to end with this beautiful, beautiful, yet bittersweet writing that this lady did in my group. And I want to give her credit for this because I didn't write this. This was written by a lady in my Widow online group, and her name is, I'm not really sure how to pronounce her name actually. It looks like Sarah. Yeah. It's Sarah with a Y-A on the end. I don't really know how to pronounce that. Saraya? It's probably not Saraya. Saraya. It's probably Saraya or something like that. Anyway, if she ever tells me how to pronounce it, I will let you know. For now, I'll just guess Saraya Brown. Anyway, she's a great writer, whatever her name is pronounced like. And I will end with this. This is something she wrote a few days ago, and it was just so pretty I wanted to share it. These tears, they always seem to rise from a pool the bottom, with a bottom that I have yet to find. Typically I can keep them at bay, but right now I feel them right at the surface, threatening to overflow without a moment's notice. I know the emotions weaving through my veins today are enough that even seeing someone my heart trusts would bring me to my knees. It's hard to believe one moment can change your entire life. That one moment can shatter your entire world. Why do they not teach us that time is a finger snap, a quick blink? They don't tell us that we should not let a moment pass us by. They forget to mention to us how we should not waste one single moment of its swift breakneck circuit. I wish they would have taught us this, though I doubt most of us would have listened anyway. We always think we have more time. Today I'm just trying to remember that love is not only felt when in the presence of the one you love. Their absence is not their ending. We think that we honor our lost ones by refusing to live. We see any ounce of joy beginning to surface in us and immediately think, betrayal. It's like moving forward is the same as, or even comparable to moving on. It's not. We think that by digging our heels deeply in and pushing away happiness, we somehow better uphold the memory of the departed. We have convinced ourselves that the daily level of sorrow felt and the rate at which it fluctuates determines the level at which our hearts are still connected to the one we have lost. While yes, grief is the cost of love, grief cannot live where love did not first reside. Grief is dependent. It's a byproduct of love, where love was designed entirely differently. Love is far greater in mass, much stronger, lasts forever, and it can stand steady all on its own. Love can and will always exist, even without grief. We grieve intensely in the early days, months, and even years because we love intensely. But as time continues, we can sometimes get stuck in this idea that should the intensity or frequency of grief visits minimize, then our love must be minimizing as well. Not realizing there's beauty being made out of the marrow of our own wounded bones. We feel as if we are being stretched just to fit into some kind of a new normal, as we dare to call it life again. We must do all of this so we begin to heal, because our healing is the best gift that we can ever offer to a person that crosses our path. Once sorrow has touched your heart, it will forever flow through it. It enters and exits as it needs to. Sometimes its visit is an extended one, and sometimes it will be brief. Grief has so many purposes. However, it was never intended to have the responsibility of gauging the amount of love that still exists after a great loss. And I love that because so many people feel guilty that if they're not crying every day, or if they're not if they're not mourning every day, if they're not thinking about their loved one every day, if they're not dwelling on them every day, if they're not just stuck in this rut of crying over them every day, they think somehow they're betraying their memory. Or they think somehow they're not loving them. Or they think somehow that they're betraying them by not mourning over them day in and day out. And I'm here to tell you that is a load of crap. That's a load of crap. The way you love someone has nothing to do with how much you're grieving over them, or how little, or how, if 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, or 1 year from now, if you're starting to actually if you're spending less time grieving or mourning or being sad, and you're actually finding a little bit of joy here and there again, that's not bad. And you're not betraying them in any way, shape, or form. Because she's right. The intensity that we grieve, it's not a measure of how much we love someone. It's just a part of the process of surviving. It's normal to grieve heavily for a while. But your body cannot grieve that much every day for the rest of your life. It can't survive that. So I think your body and your mind, they try to find happiness and joy and passion and purpose again, because you have to if you're going to survive. And that doesn't mean that 10 years from now you're not going to have a day where you just grieve and cry all day long. You may very well do that because it hits unexpectedly. You could have lost your spouse 25 years ago and then just have a day where you feel it like it's yesterday. And you cry and you grieve. You might feel like it may just hit you hard that day. And it could be 20 years from now. Those grief moments are always going to hit out of nowhere. But we don't have to feel guilty that we're actually starting to live a little again. That doesn't mean that we don't love our spouse or our son or our mom or whoever it was. In fact, actually, they're probably proud of us if we're starting to live a little again. They're proud of you if you go out and make a new friend, or if you do something that you just like to do. I mean, if I died, I would not have wanted Gerald to mourn for the rest of his life. Yes, I would have wanted him to mourn very deeply for a while. I mean, I would have wanted him to cry over me for a long time, because we're just like that. You know, we want people to miss us, but we don't want them to stay there forever. I would have wanted him to go out and find some joy again. My goodness, I would not have wanted him to sit here and cry every day. Life is short, guys. Let's let the grief come naturally. If we feel like we want to sit and cry all day, do it. Do it. You need that. But if you have a day where you feel like smiling or singing or having fun or not even thinking about them for the whole day, there is nothing wrong with that, okay? So That's why I loved what she wrote. It doesn't mean you don't love them. If you go 3 days and you haven't really thought about them, that doesn't mean you don't love them. Goodness. So I just want to share that with you, and I just want to say that I'm here walking this journey with you, and I pray for you this year that God is going to hold you up and carry you through. And it is hard to step into a new year alone, but there really aren't words to express the sadness I have inside for having to do things alone now. But you know, I just have to keep in mind that this life, it's very short, and you know, do something today that's going to bring not only yourself some joy, but someone else maybe. And I will see you next time. And I apologize that I'm just not feeling well. And when I do feel a little bit better, I'm very busy. So I apologize that I can't talk to each and every one of you individually. I sure wish I could, but I do love all of your notes and your comments, and they really mean a lot. So just know that. And here's a big hug for you. New Year's hug. Okay. You guys take care, okay?